an old Japanese folktale, Urashima Taro. A long time ago, there was a young fisherman named Urashima Taro. He was poor, but he was also very kind-hearted. One morning, he set out to go fishing, as he usually did. And as he walked from his village towards the ocean, he saw the sky turn from a dark gray to a lighter gray, then to pink, then to gold, and then to a perfect blue. As he got near the shore, he noticed a group of boys throwing stones at something. He got closer and he saw that their target was a gigantic sea turtle that had washed ashore. And he called out, "Boys, stop! Stop! Don't harm that innocent creature. Do you know that the turtle is the messenger of the Dragon King that lives under the sea? And if you harm it, harm may come to you? Boys, wait." And he pulled out a little pouch that he had in his side. He pulled out some coins. Here, take these coins and let that poor creature go. The boys took the coins and gladly scampered away. Well, the turtle began to move towards the ocean, and before it plunged into the sea, it looked back at Urashima Taro and stared at him for a while as if to fix his image in its mind. Then with that, it plunged under the green sea. Urashima Taro continued on. He found his boat. He unloaded his nets that he had on his shoulders, and he pushed it through the waves into the ocean. And then he jumped in, took the oars, and began to row. And he rowed, and he rowed, and as he rowed, he noticed the islands of Japan kind of sink into the ocean. And when he was in the ocean, the little boat began to rock back and forth gently with the waves. And as it rocked back and forth, he began to feel sleepy. And then he did something that he had never done before. He put his head to the side of the boat and he fell fast asleep. While he was sleeping, he had a dream. And in that dream, he saw the waves moving in front of him. And they would splash up and come down and fall to the sea like diamonds. And then a beautiful woman, tall and slender, emerged from the ocean. Her black hair, the color of raven's feathers, hung down her shoulders and down her back. And she wore a gown of blue and crimson. And she walked on the waves without sinking towards the boat. She approached the boat and she stepped in and touched him on the shoulder. He woke up startled, but there she was, just like in the dream. And he said, "Who are you? What do you want?" She replied, "Urashima Taro. Urashima Taro, I am the daughter of the Dragon King from under the sea. And because of your kindness to his messenger, the turtle, he has sent me to be your bride. And we shall live together on the island where summer never dies, if that is your wish." Of course that was his wish. She was the most beautiful thing he had ever seen. So she sat down next to him and she took an oar. And he took the other oar, and together they rowed. And they rowed, and they rowed, and soon, like a dream, the island where summer never dies rose out of the ocean. And they went right to the surf, and he jumped out, and he pushed the boat on the sand, and he jumped out and he helped the princess out. And on the island, he saw many strange creatures from under the sea, and they all said, "Welcome, Urashima Taro, welcome. We have heard of your kindness." And Urashima Taro and the princess were married. And for 3 long years, they lived on the island where summer never dies in total bliss. But towards the end of the 3rd year, as if he had awoken from a dream, he said, "My mother, my family, my friends. I left them 3 years ago. Why would I do that? They don't know if I'm alive or if I'm dead. I must go home and let them know that I'm well. So he went to his wife and he said, my mother, my father, my family and friends, they don't know what happened to me 3 years ago. I left and never returned. I need to go home so they know that I'm well. And she replied, Urashima Taro, Urashima Taro, don't go. If you go, you will never return. No, I must go. Of course I'll return. I would never leave you. I love you. No, I need to go just for a short while, even if it's just for a proper farewell. I'll be back. She replied, Urashima Taro, Urashima Taro, don't go. If you go, I shall never see you again. No, I will be back soon. Don't worry. When she realized that he would go no matter what she said, she took out a small lacquered wooden box that was painted black, and she said, take this box. Keep it with you always, and this will bring you back to me. Do you understand? I understand, yes. I'll take the box. I will never open it. Yes, I understand. And he ran to the beach. He found his boat. He got in, pushed it through the waves into the ocean, and he began to row and row and row, and soon the island, where summer never dies, went into the sea. And before him, like a dream, arose the islands of Japan, his home. And he rowed faster and faster, and when he got to the surf, he jumped out and he pushed the boat onto the sand so that it would not wash away. But what was this? Things were strange. When he left only 3 years ago, the trees, the mountain behind the village was covered in trees, but now it was just bare stone. And the grove had trees that stood tall and straight, and now they were twisted and bent. The houses were strange, unlike anything he had seen before, and the people wore strange clothing. What was going on, he wondered. And he walked into the village, and this was his home, his own village, and yet the people were strange. He did not recognize a single face. What could be happening? What kind of strange illusion was this? I know, he said. I'm going to go to my home. And he ran to where his house would have been. There was no house there at all. What kind of nightmare is this? He said. And just then, an old man came hobbling down the road, leaning on a stick. And he said, old man, help me. Eh? What do you want? Old man, help me find one named Urashima Taro. Help me find his home. He grew up in this village. He lived here. His parents live here still. Urashima Taro? Urashima Taro. No, never heard of that name. And he began to walk away. Old man, wait! Urashima Taro, think, Urashima Taro. Urashima Taro. Urashima Taro. Urashima Taro. I recall. My father's father told him the story of Urashima Taro, the young fisherman who went out to sea 300 years ago and never returned. You want his home? It's the graveyard. What was going on? He was totally confused. He went to the graveyard. And in the oldest part, he found 3 gravestones that were old, cracked, covered with moss. He scraped away the moss of the first one, and there, etched in stone, was his mother's name. Then he went to the second stone, and he scraped off the moss, and there was his father's name. And then the last one, once the moss was gone, he saw his own name. What is going on? What kind of strange illusion is this? And he walked in a daze towards the ocean. He didn't know what to think. And he stood facing the ocean and he said, I know. The secret to this nightmare is in this box. And I will open it now. And he stood there and he put his hand on top of the box. Took a deep breath and he lifted the lid and whoosh! Out came a fine white mist that drifted to the ocean and towards the island where summer never dies. And suddenly, Urashima Taro began to feel very old, very tired, very weak. He saw his hands begin to tremble and shrivel up before his eyes. His teeth began to loosen and fall out. His hair became completely white and began to fall in clumps. And there, Urashima Taro, 300 years old, collapsed to the sand and turned to dust. And the dust lifted and drifted to the ocean in the direction of the island where summer never dies.